There's a lot of
stuff going
opportunity
on.
for things not to be the same, right? If you've got 10 different or 11 different, 12 different key high points for your marketing efforts, right? If 12 different people are responsible for those things or 12 different vendors, right? How hard is it to make sure that the message is the same across all 12?
You're listening to Reply Talk, a podcast designed to provide actionable marketing strategies and valuable insights around department marketing. Hosted by Corbin Wright.
Game time.
Hello there.
Such an idiot.
All right, today, what are we talking about? Oh, no.
Not that.
Not that. Anyways. Sorry, I had a video just pop up.
Streamlining your marketing.
Streamlining your marketing
Streamlining your marketing efforts.
in multifamily.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, I'll let you start this one off.
Oh, I get to start?
Yeah.
So what do we mean by streamlining your marketing, right? I think the easiest way to do that is, I don't know, for anybody listening, go ahead and think of the first community in your portfolio that comes to mind, right?
So your first community.
First community, and the easiest thing we can think about, let's start with, is your website.
Okay. So we're talking about all of the things that go into your marketing for that one community.
Correct.
All right. So you got a website.
Right. You've got your website, right? You probably got a vendor for your website.
Okay.
Right? And chances are that vendor for your website is not doing your SEO strategy.
Okay.
Right? Search engine optimization. Your organic search, there's probably somebody else driving that strategy, or it may be somebody internally, but it's two different things.
Okay. So you've got website. You got somebody managing your SEO.
Right.
Maybe it's internal. So what next? Social ads. So somebody's doing your social advertising.
Yeah, there's probably somebody doing, so if we're thinking, right, so we hit website, we hit SEO, now we're thinking about digital marketing efforts, right? So social media advertising.
Okay.
There's probably one or two companies that you have, depending on the size of your portfolio, that's doing that.
So, and then social content.
Social content, there's, you're posting on a community level, you're probably getting some feedback from another vendor, so there's another one.
You have that, and then creative with that. So maybe you don't have creative with social company. You might. You probably.
Right. So who's taking your photos? Who's doing your videos? Right. It's probably not any of the companies that are doing those other things we just listed. Right. So we're at 4, 5, 6 maybe now.
Or 6, and then what? Online reputation. You might have somebody doing that, like
doing
actually
it?
Managing that from your social standpoint.
Yep.
Then you got, let's say, like email. Like maybe email campaigns or something. Somebody's doing
A lot of that's done internally. So let's leave.
Let's group that in. So email campaigns and correspondence, prospect and resident correspondence. There's that as well. There's a vendor who has a platform that does all the email correspondence.
How about we do this? Let's lump that in with CRM. Right.
Okay.
That's one thing we didn't go with yet. Right. But the CRM that you're probably using in that community. Right, the company that does the CRM is probably not doing any of the things that we just listed.
All right,
right,
so
correspondence. Right, so we're at 8. Right, what are the things we left out?
And we got a call.
PPC. Right, so somebody running
social advertising. Oh no, we did social advertising. That was digital advertising.
Easy, buddy. I've got coffee over here. Top of my game. Right,
Okay.
PPC. So somebody that's running your pay-per-click, somebody that's doing your Google advertising. Right.
Gotcha.
They're probably not doing any of the things we just listed. And then maybe like an ILS or something.
Yeah, you got ILSs too.
Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 ILSs.
So there's a lot of fragmented.
There's a lot of opportunity for things not to be the same, right? If you've got 10 different or 11 different, 12 different key high points for your marketing efforts, right? If 12 different people are responsible for those things or 12 different vendors, right? How hard is it to make sure that the message is the same across all 12 of those things, and how, the message that you conveyed, to one company, is going to make it maybe a little different, right? They may take that a little differently than the message, that same message that you send to somebody that's running your PPC or your digital advertising. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think what we're saying, right, when we talk about streamlining your marketing efforts and go down that long list of things, right, is there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people involved, right? And it makes a lot of people's lives a lot harder.
You
remember those days, don't you?
It was the hardest part of my job.
Yeah, just making sure that everybody, that you hit all those touch points, that you had all those calls lined up, that they all knew about your new special, that you got everybody the photos they needed, and right.
It was extremely difficult, and not from just from managing it. You've got
It's a whole other job in itself.
You've got this strategy, and you've got you set the strategy at the corporate level.
Sure.
And then you get out there, and then you set it at the community level. And then you go into it with your marketing plan, and then you're like, okay, well, I got to go to this person to get this done. I got to go to my website guy to get this updated. I got to go to my digital advertising person to do all my digital ads. There's a lot going on. So, and then you have to follow up with them.
Then it's Thursday.
Yeah, right? Then it's Thursday. Yeah, and
what do you do on Friday right before the weekend when things change all again? You get a brand new special.
You send them reminder emails,
right?
You check up on it. But it's tough. It's difficult, and it's really easy to get to that point as you're growing, and you're growing quickly. And you might be a company that started out smaller and you have hyper growth, and you're like, you blow up, and then
this new thing sounds good, that new thing sounds good, and that new thing sounds good. And before you know it, you've got 3 vendors for everything that you do, right? Yeah. And there's some great things about that, right? As long as you can manage it, right? But it's very difficult to manage, right? Mm-hmm. Having different vendors for different things obviously provides you some different opportunities, right? Some competition for price, some competition for creativity.
Yep.
But when it comes down to it, having different, on a community level, having different vendors for all those different things is going to make things from a communication perspective, just to start, very difficult.
Yep.
Very difficult.
And I think the biggest key is finding vendors that will work together.
Sure.
And that will integrate things to where it's seamless. And as we all know, in multifamily technology, is that there's a lot of integration issues. A lot of stuff going on with the data. You've got one system that the data records this way. You got another system, your CRM system, that the data records another way.
Right.
And then you're like, none of your data lines up, and you're like, well, how the hell can I even be strategic?
Yeah. How can I
in
make
my
the right decisions? Right. I got to go back to operations on Thursday at 2:00, and everyone's telling me on Wednesday at 5 that they can't tell me any of these things because this system isn't set up properly, and they've tried to reach out to them 100 times. And it can get very fragmented. It can be very difficult. I think, the main message that we're trying to convey here is, by listing those things out, right, there's got to be some opportunity for, if need be, right, an opportunity for improvement, right? And that goes kind of hand in hand with why this whole thing started and why we're doing this and why we feel so strongly about these things, right, is your life can be so much easier. Your team's lives can be a lot easier if you can find a vendor, a partner that can do a lot of these things, and you hold them accountable.
Partner,
right?
Partnership.
Hold them accountable to do it well, right, and to drive that strategy and do it the right way, the way that you want it.
Absolutely. And this is why I'm so excited about this time in our industry, in the multifamily tech industry, and with digital agencies in this industry, is that they are willing to work together and make sure that this is like that things go seamless, because in this industry, it's a relational industry, and they care. Like we care. Yeah, you learn real quick. Right. We care about our customers, which is our friendships and our partnerships, and these smaller technology companies are great because they understand that in order to make a big impact, we all have to work together, because it can't be fragmented. And a lot of these companies that are coming into the game have been in the multifamily scene for years.
I think that's one of the things that I've noticed quite a bit recently is more and more. And I think that, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of companies that have been started in the past that have, multifamily experience. They started from people in the industry. But I think one of the biggest things, I think this is why the push is coming, is because they're getting the feedback from the community level and from the marketing teams on a corporate higher up level, right? C-level is starting to hear like, hey, like these things aren't working, and I found companies that are willing to do all of these things or a few of these things really well, and they're willing to integrate or do whatever it takes to get us the information that you always want from me that I've never been able to give you, right? There's always been pressure from the vendor side, like make this easier, make this cheaper, make this easier, make this cheaper. We need to build it this way. It needs to look like this. But now the pressure's coming from the customer. Like, wait a second. Like, they said they can do it. Like, why aren't you helping? Like, I'm the customer.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think coming from an industry that's all we cared about at Enterprise is customer. That's been a huge push for me, right? And having these relationships with other vendors and then with our customers, right? Is the level of customer service that we're providing, right? Our end game as vendors is all the same, right? To provide success for our customer.
Absolutely, because our success is through your success. And the thing is, you know, and there's going to be times where when you touch things enough, it will make things break in this industry. And some things, they do take time to make sure that they integrate properly. And I think that, you know, going into it, just be aware, and awareness around that, you know, from the vendors that I've met in this space, they're all extremely willing to work together. But it has to be done right, because at the end of the day, if it's not done right, your data is not going to line up properly, and it's wasted efforts. And then you're frustrated because you can't get anything done. You can't be strategic. You can't forecast your budgets. You can't really do anything because you're just shooting in the dark.
Right. So let's kind of loop back to the whole Streamline thing, right? So we're not asking anybody to sit there and like figure out a plan tomorrow to eliminate 10 of their 11 vendors and find a vendor that does everything well, right? But there's probably a few things, right? Think about it, right? And there's probably a few things that you can see that naturally lump together, right? PPC, social advertising, social content, maybe throw, if you do it, SEO in there.
Absolutely.
Right? Those are 4 easy wins that you can probably find multiple vendors out in the industry that do all of them very well. Right? The reason they do all 4 of those very well is because the partners that they have, the customers that they have, trust them with that information, right? And they drive the strategy through them, and it's a very cohesive approach. All 4 of those things speak to each other, right? You can find things within the SEO strategy, you can find things within the PPC strategy, social advertising, that make all of those things better, right? So that might be, if we're thinking about steps that you can take in the near future, right, after you've thought about this, those are some things that you might be able to take advantage of if you go back and think, hey, I totally see value in putting PPC and social advertising and social content together. That makes sense. Right, so try to come up with a plan for yourself. Do some research, and if we're talking about streamlining your marketing efforts, we'd be damned if we didn't come up with a way to kind of find a quick win, right?
Yeah.
So I think having a vendor or 2 or 3 or 4, but 11's very tough, man. That's a lot of communication. What's the end game, right? What's the
increasing occupancy?
Right.
So when you got to go 1,000 places to get one thing done, which is increase occupancy, it becomes extremely tough when you're going and you're reaching out to several different people.
Yeah.
And just your due diligence within that, it's like, well, shit, I got to check my website. And you got to do that anyways. But then after you do that whole checklist, then you have to do another checklist of who you have to reach out to.
Right. Where's that one? Where's that one? Where's that one? Where's that one?
And then after you do that and you reach out to them, then you have to kind of make a checklist of like,
make sure they all respond.
Who responded, and then I need to respond back to the people that didn't. I need to remind them, and I'm just going through the stuff that I've went through before. And sometimes it's inevitable. Like you are going to have a lot of vendors, especially if you're third party. Like that can be extremely tough.
That's different. Right, that's a whole nother beast, but there's still applications to what we're talking about in third party, right? I get that your ownership group wants to use this specific company and they trust that specific company, right? That makes sense. I get that, right? But there's still small little wins where you can group things together. Or if I'm, if things are third party, right, and I'm, let's say, a marketing manager that my ownership group is dead set on using this, and this, right? Like, you can come up with a plan or come up with an idea. Like, I believe in this company, I believe in this, and I believe in this strategy, right? And when you prove it, you're gonna change a lot of minds, and you're gonna create some success around the thoughts, the plan that you created. So there's definitely some applications across.
I want to talk about my past a little bit too. Is like it's also too with companies that start up smaller and then they grow extremely quickly.
Yeah.
Like you just blink and next thing you know, you're for 15,000 units, 20,000 units, up to 60,000 units, and things get crazy. You start out with people doing it internally on your team, and then it gets to the point where you're just like
it's too much.
You're rolling.
Yeah, it's like, then we need this.
And then you're sourcing out vendors, and you're like, okay, well, we've got somebody on the East Coast that can handle this. We got somebody on the West Coast that can handle this. We've got this person. We got this photographer that can go out and do this. So you do reach a level of you have to you have to be reactive because you're growing so quickly.
Right.
So what I want out of this is just creating awareness for even the smaller companies. We have some companies too that are going through some really aggressive growth right now.
Right.
And they're coming to us and they're recognizing it. And they're like, this is getting a little crazy.
Yeah. And I think that was probably one of the most exciting things that I saw, was they saw it quick. Like they were being super proactive. They're like, we probably don't need this now, but like these are our plans, and we're already starting to see that this is going to be very beneficial to have like a
snowball.
Right. And you don't want to hinder your growth as a company because you don't have the other systems.
You don't have the right
place,
infrastructure,
right? You don't have,
or the game plan, the succession plan of growing.
Yeah.
So, this is what this is about, is creating awareness and saying, really thinking about your marketing, how you can what things you can streamline, and go to your vendors and see what. Ask them. Like the best thing that you can do is ask them, because there's a lot of stuff out there with your current vendors that they might have.
They either do
or they might be able to help
recommend somebody,
or it could be on their.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You're literally gonna get anybody listening that don't
knows
say
me. Yeah, it's on the
roadmap.
It's on the roadmap.
Yeah.
Hold on. But with smaller companies, the roadmap is a lot shorter. That road is a lot shorter. Mm-hmm. And that's the advantages, and that's the exciting thing about this time in property management technology.
For sure.
Is that these companies can move quickly. Yep. And it's a very personal relationship that we have with our customers. Is like, if you want it, we are going to assess
assess the ask.
Yeah.
Right? But chances are you want it for a reason. It's a good reason. Let's work together to get it right.
Yep.
And deliver it quicker than you're used to.
Yeah. And let's see how we can make it a global solution for us as well. So, you're scratching each other's backs, helping them out, and developing a success story around it.
They're probably not the only one that needs this, right? It's not just a them problem or a them solution, right? It probably applies across the board. So,
and that's part of the
create the solution.
That's part of the due diligence that we do. So when we get asked these certain things and we get it on our list, and then we have ticket systems that go in, and once we get a certain amount of people that are asking about this, and it's becoming like, okay, here's an opportunity, and then we're able to look with our other customers and say, okay, well, this is an opportunity with them too. How can we create a solution around this for everybody?
Sure.
And then tweak it, customize it to your specific organization, because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Every operation, every owner management group operates differently.
Mm-hmm.
But ask the vendor, talk to them, have that partnership, and the partnership is crucial. Making sure,
right, if you love your vendor and it's something they've been thinking about, but they just haven't had enough interest, and you're their favorite customer, or you're somebody that they've known for a long time, and you're like, hey, if you guys have this capability, we'd love to continue to work with you on this.
Absolutely.
And a lot of companies now have that flexibility because of the relationships and the partnerships, and they're willing to take that journey with their customer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other times may have gotten pushed off, like, we don't do that. We really don't know anybody that does that. But now things have changed. But yeah, if we want to talk about streamlining your marketing, there are some quick wins. But I think what we really want to drive out of this is just think about it.
Yeah.
Think about how it might help. Maybe it might hurt, right? But I think at the end of the day, if we're kind of creating that, psychologically, the thought process around it, you're naturally going to find some solutions within your current systems that you have in place that you might be able to help make your life easier.
And change is never easy, especially at a corporate level. Right. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. It's scary.
Sure.
System migrations, implementing new systems into.
It doesn't have to be though forever.
But it doesn't. And if you have the right people in place,
sure.
and you have the companies working together, it makes that process go a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're cutting out that middleman, and because ultimately, if you've got two vendors, two partnerships that are willing to work for you, and you're asking them, you're saying, hey, I need you guys to work together. I know that we're willing to do that and make sure that we create a solution around what you need, and make it pretty painless.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we.
That's why this whole thing started, man. That's why we suggest is, we're not suggesting it because it's what we do, right? We're suggesting it because it's probably the right thing to do, right? It may not be perfect for everybody. It might not be the best solution for everybody, but I'd be hard pressed to believe that anybody listening or anybody that takes a second thought about this and really thinks about it, that they're not going to find one or two ways to implement what we're talking about. So
absolutely.
There's definitely some value in bringing this up and talking about it and creating some awareness and some thought around it. So
agreed.
Yeah.
This was good. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to us, ask us. I
love LinkedIn. So if you can, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure I have my cell phone number on LinkedIn. I saw a really cool post the other day. Sorry, real quick.
No.
Somebody asked and engaged, if your phone number is in your LinkedIn profile, does that would you feel comfortable if people texted you? Damn freaking right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead and text me. It's there for a reason.
I love texting.
Yeah. That's another thing. But no, absolutely is a great post, and I wish I remember who posted it, but I commented on it. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want you to feel like you have to email me or find me on LinkedIn and then maybe message me or maybe ask me a question some other time.
Just don't send me weird stuff.
Well, yeah. But, if you send me a funny GIF, that's always a debate, right? But if you send me a funny one and open with that one, I think,
Yeah.
We're in a corporate setting, but I try to send that stuff in emails all the time, right? Lighten the mood. We're going to be friends. Yeah. We're going to work together. We want to be partners. And
you're going to be my friend, daggone it.
Will be my friend. No, but that I did want to touch on that because I forgot about it on the last couple. I thought that was a great question. And yes, absolutely. If you see my phone number on my LinkedIn, go ahead and text me.
I'm old school. I like calls. I do love texting, but I like calls.
Yeah, call me too. Sure. Why not?
All right, guys. Well, call us, email us, text us. Whatever you got to do, go to our website, Reply360. It is Reply, REPLI, 360.com. And then please, if you find this podcast valuable, any of our content valuable, leave us 5 stars. Subscribe to our podcast. Share it with your friends.
Share it with your coworkers.
Yes,
right?
tag
Listen
them up.
to it at work. Play it at work. Come up with some new marketing strategies at work. We got a pretty fun opening and a funny closing, and I like to think we have a little bit of fun on this thing so we can provide some value during your day. But, subscribe, rate 5 stars. Be wonderful. We'd really appreciate it.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. We will see you on the next episode of Reply Talk.